Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true.
3 injured in crash on Mandela Highway. The police were at the scene of a motor vehicle crash on Mandela Highway. 3 people have been taken to hospital in serious condition following a 2-vehicle collision near the Caymanas crossing yesterday afternoon. This has caused a traffic pileup. Traffic on the westbound lane has blocked up all the way to Spanish Town Road and Washington Boulevard. Earlier, there was a traffic pileup with a gas tank overturned on the westbound lane. Shabdan remanded again on murder charges. Music producer Shabdan, who is facing 3 counts of murder, appeared before the St. James Parish Court on Tuesday. Another person who is charged jointly with him, Tajay Clark, also appeared in court. Prosecutors reported that the case file was incomplete. Shabdan's attorney, Dennehy Martin, gave notice that he will be applying for bail at a later date. Both men were remanded until August 22nd. Shabdan, whose given name is Linval Thompson, was charged last month following an investigation into a shooting incident in Rose Heights, St. James. 2 men and a woman were killed when gunmen drove into the community and opened gunfire on residents on May 25th. 2 other individuals, including a 15-year-old, were injured in the incident. Fire destroys sections of historic Whitfield Hall. A fire destroyed sections of historic Whitfield Hall property in the Blue Mountains in St. Thomas. The cause of the fire is yet to be determined. One of the owners, John Algrove, said the main house, a cottage and an outside kitchen were gutted. He said the blaze was discovered by staff. Algrove said there were no guests at the property at the time of the fire. The blaze started about 4 a.m. at the cottage and quickly spread. There were no injuries. An estimate of loss is yet to be ascertained, but it is believed to be in the millions. Established in 1776, Whitfield Hall is a historic house and a working Blue Mountain coffee farm. Clarendon police trying to prevent reprisal following deadly attack in Hayes. The Clarendon police are on high alert to prevent reprisal attacks following the shooting of 6 people in Newtown Phase 2 in Hayes on Tuesday night. 16-year-old Demario Gibson and 40-year-old Christopher Romani, both residents of Hayes, died in the attack. Another 16-year-old boy and 3 men were injured. The police and political representatives in Clarendon held a community meeting early on Wednesday with family members of the victims of Tuesday night's attack and residents of Hayes. Deputy Superintendent Owen Brown, the officer responsible for the Community and Safety Department in Clarendon Police Division, appealed to the residents not to engage in a vigilante justice. We want to say to the residents, whatever they may have seen, whatever they may have heard, ensure that you pass information on to the police. We don't want persons to take matters into their own hands, he urged, stressing the need to prevent further lives being lost. DSP Brown sought to reassure the residents that the police will investigate and will find out the persons who have committed this crime. He said investigators have not yet ascertained the motive for the shooting. It was reported that about 8:45 p.m., the 6 people were among patrons at a shop on Hollywood Drive. A silver Toyota Axia drove up and 2 men alighted. The men opened gunfire at the patrons. The injured persons were taken to hospital, where 2 were pronounced dead. The police said a magazine containing 14 rounds of ammunition was found at the scene. Thompson was no saint. That's the police view of Tommy Thompson, a prime suspect in the murder of 2 Chinese business operators last December who were fatally shot in St. Elizabeth. Thompson had been sought by the police for the murder of the Chinese couple at their supermarket at Bellevue, St. Elizabeth. This young man was no saint. He was being sought for the murder of the Chinese couple, and he was also linked to several other armed robberies, murders and shootings around the parish of St. Elizabeth, one senior officer told reporters. The Newmarket police report that about 10:40 p.m. a team armed with a warrant went to the premises of Bloomsbury District in search of Thompson. The police said that as they proceeded to enter his house, Thompson attacked them with a machete. Assistant Commissioner of Independent of Commission Investigations Indicom, Hamish Campbell, confirmed that Thompson had been a murder suspect. The Indicom deputy said that despite the Central Region having recorded 3 fatal police-involved shooting in the last 3 days, there has been a decline since the start of the year. Jermaine Robinson was fatally shot by the police in Mayday, Manchester on July 25th, while 44-year-old Ricardo Bailey of Clarendon was also killed by law enforcers. There have been 66 reported fatal shootings by the police nationally, 10 fewer than the number recorded for the corresponding period. In the Communal press statement, said the investigations into the 3 recent police shootings are still at an early stage. The watchdog encouraged persons to share information regarding these incidents by contacting the Commission's head office at 876-968-8875 or via WhatsApp at 876-553-5555. Fine for abusive language to Transport Authority inspectors reduced to $100,000. Transport Minister Audit says an amendment will be made to the controversial provision in the Transport Authority Act, which had a fine of up to $500,000 for persons convicted of using abusive and calumnious language towards Transport Authority personnel. The maximum fine will instead be $100,000. Mr. Shaw made the announcement on Wednesday at a public transport defensive driving seminar in Manchester. He said, after carefully analyzing the provision, lawmakers realized that there was a need for some adjustment there. Still, he sought to explain that the initial suggested figure of $500,000 had been determined with the expectation that a judge could have room to decide individual fines. However, the Transport Minister said persons who issue death threats to Transport Authority officials will face higher fines of perhaps about $200,000 to $250,000. This, he said, was to make sure that discipline is kept on the road and that persons would not feel emboldened to threaten those who give an authority to supervise activities on the road. Additionally, Mr. Shaw said bus and taxi operators who have committed a number of breaches of the Road Traffic Act will lose their driver's license when the new law takes effect. Unlike now, where the repeat offenders just get the tickets and nothing happens, the minister warned that motorists who collect too many tickets will have to have their license taken away because it means that you are a threat to the safety of people on our roads. He noted that operators of public passenger vehicles are involved in most road crashes and fatalities in Jamaica. NSWMA not functioning as regulator, report says. A performance audit of the operations of the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, has called attention to the failing of the regulatory body and the state entities which are responsible for the effective management of solid waste in the island. The Auditor General, in a report tabled in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, blamed the unfinished legal framework, poor coordination among implementing agencies, and the NSWMA's parent ministry, and a focus on collection and disposal instead of its role as regulator for the deficiencies in waste management. Auditor General Pamela Monroe-Ellis in the report said the 8 waste deposit sites operated by the NSWMA were not compliant with environmental regulations, with only 3, including Riverton in St. Andrew, having the required permit from the National Environment and Planning Agency NEPA, although they are not in full compliance with the conditions of the permit. According to the report, because the necessary regulations to fully establish the NSWMA as a regulatory body are not in place, the country is at risk of not achieving its national goal to manage all forms of waste effectively in another 8 years. Manuel Ellis said 21 years after the National Solid Waste Management Act was passed, there are still no regulations in place to establish the Chief Waste Management Agency as a regulatory body. She noted that the NSWMA's operations have therefore been mainly confined to collection, transportation of solid waste, and the operation of waste disposal sites. Her team of auditors found no evidence that the NSWMA's board and the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development provided the necessary strategic direction and support for the implementation of the actions which the NSWMA needs to undertake in order to attain its Vision 2030 goals. The audit showed that the NSWMA has not, since its establishment in 2002, converted any of the island's waste deposit sites into sanitary landfill, nor developed any new sanitary landfills. It highlighted that, of the 8 disposal sites across the island, only Riverton most currently fits the bill of a sanitary landfill, but still poses a public health threat to the general environment and does not meet all the requirements of the sanitary landfill. These waste depositor sites are posing threat to public health and the environment, said the report, which noted that there were 51 fires recorded across the waste disposal sites between January 2018 and December 2021. The NSWMA could not provide information on the estimated useful life remaining for the Riverton disposal site according to the report. Manuel Ellis said although the agency has not been given the required budgetary support that it needs to improve the overall operations of the sites, many of the activities can be undertaken without additional funding. She said these include operational and monitoring report and water and air quality monitoring plans. The NSWMA received approximately $32 billion for solid waste management between 2016 and 2021, more than half of which was disbursed from the collection of property taxes, the report noted. The audit was conducted to evaluate the effectiveness of solid waste management in the island, given the concerns around the effectiveness of the NSWMA's operation.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.